On today's show, we're going to be holding a reason with none other than our own Jason Ramdeen. And notice I said we're going to be holding a reasoning. And that means he's our own Jamaican triathlete. But before we go any further, I'd like you to go over to our Facebook page at TryLife876. That's TryLife876 and register now. Today is our final day for early registration. So if you want to catch early registration, go over to our Facebook page at TryLife876. If you're just joining us today, we're going to be holding a reasoning with our own Jamaican Jason Ramdeen. He's an experienced triathlete, and unlike previous shows, I'm not going to say much about him because the discussion will say all that we need to know about him, and you learn all you need to know. So at this stage, I'd like to invite our own Jason Ramdeen to join us.
Hey, good afternoon, man. Thanks for having me.
So Jason, great to be here. It's not every day. Well, you're the first Jamaican triathlete we have been able to get on the show. So it's a pleasure and honor for us to be here. Very briefly, because we know you're a man of action and delivering and not necessarily a lot of words. So just very briefly, could you just tell us a little about yourself?
All right. As you've said, I'm straight Jamaican. Grew up in Jamaica. I started as a swimmer. I grew up just in the pool and moved up here for college. Followed my wife and went through, got my degree in engineering from FIU, and I think I gained like 40 pounds. Yeah, found out I was actually, I guess in my family there's some kind of diabetes, so I had to find a way to combat that, and I started just running a lot, exercising, and all of a sudden I found myself in this thing called triathlons, and it was pretty cool, and I've just been hooked since, and I work full time. I train in the mornings, I train in the afternoon, and I love it. That's me, man. Just simple triathlons. Love my family. Love my wife, and just that's it. Curry goat and roti, and good.
Give thanks. So we have Natasha and Leslie join us, beginning up.
Hey, what's up,
Um,
guys?
so Jason, so from your experience as a yard man, as we very affectionately say, what has your experience been? What are some of those characteristics that are necessary for to be successful in triathlon, the sport of triathlon?
That's a good question. What I would say, like let's say putting in the time. A
Yeah.
lot of people, you can't just be a triathlete and you train on a Monday and you train on a Tuesday, skip Thursday, Friday, do a big ride on a Saturday, take off on Sunday. You see, with being a triathlete, it's about being consistent. If you put the time in, your body will adapt and then you'll see the results. So to me, it's about adaptation. Um, Without being consistent, you won't be able to adapt. And that's it's easy to say that, but the tricky part about it is now you have to be consistent. So
So, but Jason, we have to deal with the everyday vagaries of life. We have to deal with injuries. We have to deal with work pressures. We have to deal with family commitments. You
right.
say be consistent and adapt. But what does that mean in real terms?
All right, so let's I'll give you an example of my life. I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, and I have to either swim, bike, or run before I leave the house at 7. And I get to the office at 8 o'clock. I have to work focused, work hard, so that at 5 o'clock I have to beat the traffic, get home, do another hour and a half training. And if my father came into town yesterday and I had to drive an hour and a half, so you have to be able to be flexible and modify your schedule. You have to deal with work stress. It's like not every day you want to do all this. And it's boy, that's such a it's because for me, I would say I'm a weekend warrior. um you just have to realize that sometimes you're not going to be in the best shape or the best frame of mind that day, because my little son woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning because he peed the bed or a nightmare or something. And at that point, at 4 o'clock when the alarm goes off, you made the decision if you're going to get up or not. And that's part of the consistency. You have to make that decision that, what, I have to do this. I really don't want to. But, if you miss a training period, you'll never get it back. You'll never get time back. So you always have to find that motivation inside to do it. You could be sick. You take care of your wife, you take care of, work or something. Things are always going to get in the way. So you have to be flexible. But that's part of being a triathlete. Part of being a triathlete is not only just training, it's about being able to deal with the life that comes your way.
So, well, for those who are just joining us, we're speaking with our very own yardman, Jason Ramdeen. And again, go over to our Facebook page at TryLife876. Early registration closes today. So, Jason, so you speak about adapting in the face of challenges that you are faced with. Um, okay, let's move on. You are an outstanding triathlete. You didn't tell us how outstanding you are, but you are ranked very highly in the world of triathletes. How do you reach that? How do you become so competitive and be able to get those great times? What does that mean from a training perspective?
All right. Consistency. You have to be consistent. Find a coach, find a training plan online. um, Make the commitment to yourself. Don't do this for anybody else. And set a goal. Everything starts with a goal. It starts with one step. And you say you want to do a sprint triathlon. The first thing to do is just sign up and go do it. Don't question it. Once you've finished it, then you're able to, after that, evaluate your goals. But for me to have gotten to a certain point, it's about consistency. You don't want to, um, as I said before, you can't kill yourself today and go hard tomorrow and go hard every day. You're going to blow up. It's up in triathlons. It's about longevity. You have to just be consistent. It's about finding that right zone within your heart rate, that you can just keep going day in and day out. I have a coach that kicks my butt. And there's days when I'm doing the workouts and I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I mean, it's an hour easy. I'm pretty much running at a 10-minute pace or an 8-minute pace, and you're like, this is a waste of time. But you have to trust the process, And sometimes you feel that you have to go fast. Going fast, the race. This is not a race for the swift. It's something that you have to commit to. And I don't like to lose. I mean, I'm spoiled that way. So, no matter what, even if I had a good race, I'd still find something wrong. You can always be better.
So you speak of trust and getting the right coach. So Jamaica is developing a young triathlete community. And I I don't know that we can count on more than two hands, and that's because I'm very inexperienced and don't have a clue. That's the reality. But I don't know that if we can count on more than one hand certified coaches who make themselves readily available to young triathletes like myself. So how do you say, so how do you trust that process when you don't have those persons to trust? Where do you turn for
All
trust?
right. Okay, that's a good question. Now, my coach is a online coach.
Okay.
All right, so you have to find someone like I would say the best way to find a coach is to use someone that's known or that you have a friend. And I know that's tricky because you'd have to. Well, in Jamaica, if you're going to look for a coach, I'll say you'd have to go and try like find a name brand coach if
All
that
right.
makes sense.
So 1 second, Jason. I'm going to ask you to come back and answer that question that we started. But we have a question from Leslie. How often do you do open water swimming? No, I shouldn't have asked that question because that's going to spoil a lot of people. But I asked it already.
All right,
So, Jason, you have to answer.
all right, I have to answer that. Now,
Ah,
I believe that however you race, you have to train. So if you're going to do an open water swim race, then you have to practice open water swimming.
thank you.
Okay. Now, with that being said, I believe that if you're nervous about swimming, I wouldn't tell you to just go straight into the open water. I would say go build your confidence. Go to the pool and build your fitness. Most people are nervous about the open water because of the unknowns. They can't see, it's dark, they watch too much movies, they think Jaws coming for them. It's all kinds of things. But I would tell you straight, just work on fitness. Everything is about fitness. And if you swim more, your bike fitness goes up, your run fitness goes up. You're leaving more in the tank by working on your swimming. All right. Now, I would say do 80% or 80% of your swimming in the pool and go open water and practice your sighting and how to swim straight, because a lot of people can go in open water and they'll be all over the place. So instead of doing a quarter-mile swim, you end up doing a half-mile swim and you end up losing time. But that's my thing. So I would say build your swim fitness.
Okay, so going back to the online coach, because I thought we were at a disadvantage not being able to reach out and touch a certified coach. So you had explained us that online coach process and how it's working for you.
Yeah, it can work. I'd had a coach in Australia, and they were like one of the top triathlon teams. The only disadvantage was that the guy was 6 hours behind or ahead. Actually, you know what? I don't even know. It was Australia. It was like a day ahead. So we'd have to coordinate. So when I spoke to him in the night, it was in the morning. That's the only thing. So maybe there's a slight delay in emails, but it's not a big deal. Um, but there's a lot of online coaches. And it works. You download a program called Training Peaks. You guys should check it out.
Yeah,
TrainingPeaks.com.
I have that one.
All right, there you go.
Well, I don't know if I have the whole program, but I know I have some at the free version of something or something back in the
Right.
day. Yeah.
Well, it's a good program because it will tell you your fitness level and your fatigue. So if a lot of people as beginners attend to that, you want to run 5,000 miles and get injured, just pull back, take your time, and this software can actually kind of help you with that. But online coaching, Google a guy, find somebody. If you have any questions, just message them. I'll help out whoever. You know what I mean? But the online coach can work, right? But before you get an online coach, it's a commitment. So figure out if triathlons is what you really want to do. All right, because it can be a very expensive sport. All right.
Okay, so you speak of the expense associated with the sport. Um, which one comes first, the gear or the fitness? So how important is the gear?
I oh crap.
No man,
I
we're
would
here with us.
I would say um, fitness comes first, right? Or let's back that up. Let's figure out if you like the sport. You know what I mean? It's a big commitment. You're going to have to go buy a bicycle. You're going to have to buy all this stuff. So smart start. I bought a used bicycle when I started. I just got a cheap helmet. I bought all these cheap used things so that way I could really figure it out. And I would say go with fitness. If you love the sport, then you can go into buying all the bells and whistles. All right, but that's what I would tell you. Just enjoy. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy with it. And it's some of the stuff is marginal gains. It's marginal gains. If you're going for the podium and you're going to win and you're at that level, go for it, because everyone at that level, they already have all the toys. So that's the difference between the faster guys. The guy might have more aero helmet or different wheel sets and such, but if you're racing for fun and you're starting out, just fall in love with the sport, fall in love with the process. You know what I mean? Don't go crazy. Just fall in love with it, and then once you can see that this is something that you're going to stay with, then you can go with the toys.
So if there were to be two key elements you'd want to focus on or speak on, what characteristics or issue would you want to speak to? If there are any two issues you'd want to speak to?
Um, as in like training issues or injuries or
In terms of psychology
oh,
and training.
okay, let's go with
What more
psychology.
psychology?
Believe in yourself. A lot of people don't compare yourself to anybody. Don't look at somebody else, what they're doing, or how fast they are, or it's not worth it. Just triathlons is such an individual sport. Just do it for you, because if you're doing it for the wrong motivation, you're going to hate the sport. It's man, I'm telling you, man, believe in yourself, and where your mind goes, your body would follow. All right, so that's what I would say about psychological. And in other thing, for triathlons, I would say is pace yourself. Go out, have fun, steady. Don't be a rock star. Don't try and be Usain Bolt. Don't go out and try and be
No, you
Michael
can't tell us
Phelps.
that. You just said you like to compete and you like doing good. How you
But
can tell us don't be a rock star?
as a beginner, as a beginner, pace yourself, because you don't want to be injured. This is a sport for the long haul. You see me? Because like I have a lot of friends that are they're fantastic, but based on the fact that they never took the time to work on their base, they become injured. Or I have a good friend right now that his coach ramped him up too much on his swimming, and now he
Coach,
has
a coach
a
that we
coach.
must trust.
Right. But you see, again, you have to do your research on a coach and use a trusted coach, not just someone that just says they're a coach. Anybody can say they're a coach. Check their credentials. And my buddy has a shoulder injury. So it's about just building slowly. It took me 4 to 5 years before I started seeing my speed. As I mentioned to you before, I don't do speed work. Let me clarify that. I don't do speed work until I have done several months of base training, so that way I know that my body can take the beating. You understand? You don't want to get shin splints. You don't want to pull your hammy. You don't want to
Mm.
pull this. And that's a lot of things. You don't want to do your shoulders. You know, it's about, again, longevity. So just always take your
So
time.
going back to the amount of time that you have to dedicate, how do you personally balance the time it takes to get in the miles on a cycle with your family? I heard that you were speaking of a young child that needs
Yes.
wake up. How do you make that happen?
All right. Before I had my son, I would be outside for hours. If you're really trying to get to a good position in triathlons, they'll tell you the minimum you want to train is 12 hours. And if
A
you're trying
week,
to
12
12
hours a week.
hours, 12 hours a
Okay.
week. And if you're there a week, right? And then if you're trying to get to like, then there's a certain level is 16 hours. The pros can take it up to 25 to 30 hours a week. All right, but they don't do anything else. Now, with me, I do most of my training indoors. All right, the only thing that I have to do outside is the pool.
Okay.
I have 80% of my runs are on a treadmill, and 100% of my rides are indoor. And the reason for that is that I have a 4-year-old son, and I want him to see me. So I do most of my bikes and rides in the morning, and then when I get home immediately. And if I have training on Saturday, seeing that that's the real day that I can spend most of my time with him. Sometimes I get up at 5, or if necessary 4:30, and I train for hours till maybe 10 o'clock, and then after that he's all mine. It's and that's the hard part about triathlons, is finding the balance. It's such an addicting sport that people tend to neglect their families. You need to make sure that your family's involved in this. If not, then you're going to be doing triathlons by yourself.
That's
you
not
know
true.
no, so I mean, I get it in any way I can. But before anything, if I'm doing an interval and I'm going crazy on the bike, if my son walks up to me and he says, "Hey daddy," I literally stop my interval, because at the end of the day, I'm a father first, and it really doesn't matter what this triathlon is going to do for me. But I train maybe for 12 to 17 hours a week, a lot of early mornings and loss of sleep.
Sir Jason, this was definitely keeping it real and touching on some real issues that we don't necessarily have an opportunity to discuss among ourselves or with other people, and especially with someone who has succeeded and reached where you have. So we're very grateful for you to spend the time with us this afternoon and share with us. And we are looking forward to your support as individual athletes and for your support in the development of the triathlon sport in Jamaica. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, and I look forward to being part of the team.
Lovely. Thanks. All the best.
All right, man, have a good day.
Yes, sir. So that was Jason Ramdeen. You couldn't get it more real than that. Um, so please remember, today is the final day for early registration. So jump over to our Facebook page at TryLife 876. That's TryLife 876, and register now. You could also follow Jason on his Instagram page at Jason Ramdeen. So this broadcast was made possible by some sponsors that are coming on board early. But first and foremost, have to big up the TryLife 876 team that we couldn't have this webcast without. Have to give thanks to Jamaica UAV and a lot Ready TV and a lot of other sponsors that are now coming on board. We look forward to seeing you next week, same place, same time. That's TryLife 876. We're out. Thanks for joining us.